Are you a sex-starved wife? A while back I wrote a book called The Sex-Starved Marriage, where I described what happens in marriage when one spouse has a much higher sex drive than the other. And in that book I devoted about 5 pages to the unique challenges of women when they're the ones with higher desire. And based on that small amount of coverage, I was inundated with emails and calls from women saying, "Thank you so much for addressing this issue," because I thought I was the only one in the world whose husband wasn't chasing her around the living room with an erection. You know, so often you go into a locker room and you hear men complaining about their wives not wanting sex or their wives having headaches. And if you listen in on women's conversations over lunch, they're always saying that their husbands are animals, that all they ever want is sex. You never hear women complaining that their husbands don't want sex. But you know why that is? Low desire in men is America's best kept secret. Many men, millions of men, aren't interested in having sex. They're just not talking about it. I did a study with Red Book magazine, and you know what we found? 2/3 of the women who responded in the study said that they wanted sex at least as much, if not more, than their husbands. We found some other things out that were very interesting as well. Men, when they have low desire, aren't willing to discuss the problem. They don't want to talk about it with their wives. They don't want to call their healthcare professionals. They just don't want to talk about it. And you know why? They feel so much shame because in our culture, masculinity is often equated to virility, and it strikes terror in the hearts of men to think that they're not interested in sex. So it is a taboo subject. This leaves the problem unresolved, and their wives are exasperated. Interestingly enough, too, these women don't even talk to their girlfriends. A, because they're embarrassed thinking they're the only ones, and B, believe it or not, they don't want to embarrass their husbands. So what's a woman to do when she's having this problem and her heart is aching and her husband won't talk and he won't get help? Well, the very first thing she's to do is to tell him to listen to this video, because I'm saying what you've been saying for a very long time, only maybe he'll hear it coming from me. The second thing is urge your husband to get a physical checkup. I know what you're thinking about when I say that. You're thinking, yeah, right, I can't get my husband to go to a doctor. Men don't go to doctors unless they've lost a limb or they're bleeding to death. That's probably true, but I've talked to a lot of women who said, I told my husband, please just go for a physical checkup, and he would say, okay, but he doesn't make an appointment. If your husband has said, I'm willing to get a physical checkup, use that as license for you to pick up the phone, make an appointment, and get him in the car. But women say, I don't want to be his mother. You're not his mother. You're just tipping over the first domino. You're getting him the help that he needs so he can begin to address the issue. Take charge. Take the first step. And secondly, if you're having trouble really getting through to your husband, call a divorce-busting coach who can help you come up with a plan to approach your husband in a loving way so that he doesn't feel threatened, so that you're not hurting his ego. His ego is hurt enough. And your divorce-busting coach will help you figure out exactly what you should say or do so that when you approach your husband, he will listen and he'll be more willing to be responsive. Because being distant physically is really difficult in a relationship, and I know you're having a hard time. Do something now to make things better. You can be closer physically and your relationship will heal.